We're back. So this is our third website review, and we decided to change it up, and we're actually going to do a good website, at least a good-looking website. My name's Joe Hinckley. I own Way to Go website. Do websites for small businesses, nonprofits, and podcasts. This is my friend Chase Graham. He's a graphic designer.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Welcome
Chase.
back.
Chase found this website, and it's a cool-looking one. And so we're not going to have a whole lot of graphics and design-related critiques, mostly kind of strategic copy critiques. But it'll be cool to see, you get such a long ways just off of design, and you can really present your brand in a nice way, but then there's a little bit extra you can do to push it over the top and be really clear and communicate with people, kind of enhance the overall experience. So, should we get started?
Yeah, I was wondering if we could just talk about maybe the graphic design first, just to get that out of the way, about
Sure.
maybe what they're doing well. It looks great. So I guess I'll start off by saying that all the assets on this site, they're all very professional. They're all, they're taken from good perspective. They have good lighting. They're all just good quality photos. Yeah. Joe can scroll down here. We can just look some of the photos first. In terms of the text is great. The heading font is really interesting and neat. It sort of goes with the Irish theme of this pub. Maybe the body font could be a little bit more interesting, but it's fine. I think it's like Montserrat or something like that. But overall, like the sizing of the font is good. The color, the sort of this green color that's all across the font is good. It's called Paddy's. You associate with, with Irish, you know, Lucky Clover colors, so that works really well. Yeah, the colors are good, the images are good, and the spacing of everything isn't egregious. Like everything seems to be very reasonably well spaced and laid out. Most of the criticisms that we're going to make of this site have to do with the copy,
Yeah.
and strictly how things are written in each section.
But
But
we do have a little bit of criticism for the look. But one thing I'd like to compliment on this that I love, they do a textured background, and oftentimes when you see a textured background, it's kind of corny or it's a
yeah,
little weird looking, but they do it very tastefully. They just kind of do this little bit of, I guess this would be distortion or noise. I guess it'd be noise, right, Chase?
yeah, it don't
It's like kind of got a
actually.
paper feel a little bit, very natural.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like maybe like a 5% opacity paper texture that's like sort of stretched around the background. And I think when you do these sorts of backgrounds, they look best at like really low, very transparent. Like you don't want something that you can clearly see all throughout the page. You want it to be really subtle.
Yeah, I
The
think
more space that something ends up taking up, you kind of want it to be more subtle. I think is a good sort of design um, idea.
yeah they do a really good job with it. I really like it. So as far as critiques, and factoring into
Yeah.
what Chase is saying about the images, a lot of great images on here. As I was scrolling down here on drop in and make a reservation, that's a great image that they have back there, but it's covered up by the text. It's got kind of that high, the opacity layer on top of it that increases the contrast, which you need. But I also feel like this would be a better image at the top. It just occurred to me.
Yeah.
Here you got the empty bar with and it's all blurred out. Get some people in there. So like we talked about in the past, the header is what do you offer? How will it make people's lives better? And how do you get the offer? So you want to say that in your copy, but you also want to express that visually. So when you have a bar that's empty, you're almost kind of saying this is the ideal experience. This is how it's going to make you explain the ideal in the header, how it's going to improve, how it's going to enhance someone's life. Empty bar doesn't communicate that. Bar with a bunch of people having fun, that does. That jumps to the conclusion, that jumps to the successful outcome that you want everybody to have. So that would be one small criticism. It's a great image, but I think it could be better. and
Yeah.
communicate more, like this image. I also noticed that they do this parallax effect. A lot of times parallax can be kind of annoying. They do it really well. I really like all their parallax images that they used. Looks cool. So then the other thing, Chase, that we noticed, one of the core fundamentals that they're falling short on, design-wise, is hierarchy. And we can notice that here. It's got all this text. Oh, by the way, I forgot my plugin that shows the cursor. Maybe I can.
Oh, look at those.
Can you see
Oh my
it?
goodness. Yeah.
But I uploaded a custom one.
Can you pick the big mouse, that one?
Here's my custom one I did. It'll actually look like.
Oh, like the Mickey Mouse glove. I like that.
Does this work?
Oh, I don't see it. I just
not,
see the regular mouse.
It's supposed to look like the regular mouse. But I'm not seeing it in the.
Oh, there it goes. Oh, it does look like the regular mouse. And then when you hover over, it's the Mickey Mouse glove. Okay, we got it working. It's working.
I know, but it's still not showing up on the screen capture for whatever reason. Oh well, whatever. Sorry, everybody.
Oh, it's not.
You can't see my mouse. We'll figure that out at some point. We're taking this.
Just cut that out.
We're taking this at stages. By episode 50, you'll be able to see the mouse. So hierarchy, one of the core fundamentals of design. Hierarchy, basically sizing things according to their importance. So there's a lot of information here in these paragraphs. I don't really want to read through that to figure out what's important.
No.
Bring it out. Make it big. Make it easy to read. So basically they're talking about events. Weekly events, recurring events. Doesn't really matter to me whether they're weekly. Just tell me if they are or not. Just start listing your events. Here are the events. St. Patrick's Day. That's March 17th. I know that one. Irish Days at the Races. I don't really know what it is. I don't know when it is. Maybe give a sentence description of it and a date. Arthur Guinness Day. I'm guessing that's the guy who invented Guinness beer. But I don't know. And I also don't know what day it is. So just call these out. So make these big heading size, like H3 size. Like this is an H2 events. Then make these other ones H3s, a little bit smaller. List them out. Give a description. Give a date. And then here's what you can say here. Sporting events. And then just say we show all major sporting events on our large TV screens. You don't need to say this again, really. And then here are your other events. Daily lunch specials. Say that. Times. Breakfast. Times. Date. Just call it all out. Don't make me read through everything to figure it out. Because it's lumped in with all this stuff. Like you can break this out maybe as a subhead if you want. Or you can get rid of it. You don't really even need it. Once you make everything big and obvious, you could use it as a subhead or get rid of it. So our pub is well known for its vibrant and friendly atmosphere, enjoyed by our new and regular guests, a place where you immediately feel at home. That's a fine heading, fine subheading, but just separated from all the core information that you want people to get.
Yeah, anytime you have a lot of text like this, just break it up. Make it easier to read, either by bolding individual sections, putting headings on new lines, using different colored font. I mean, you got to separate all this to make it a little bit more legible for someone just quickly scrolling through your site, because otherwise you're going to skip all this and not read that information like most people would scrolling down a busy homepage.
Like we
talked. And then also, Joe and I aren't we're not very much in love with centered text in the terms of there's a lot of text
right
as body font.
It
should be left aligned.
Center text looks great a lot of times, but it's usually when it's 2 or 3 lines, 2 or 3 sentences. When it's paragraphs, it just looks a little bit jumbled. It's also hard to read. Just everything starts on a different point, so you're kind of like, it's just not like you're not immediately drawn back to the beginning of each line. It's just a little bit more jumbled looking. Things like this happen too, where it's like TV is on one line all by itself.
Right.
And this is supposed to continue that sentence. So there's just a lot of like, it just looks, maybe some people make it work and some people like the way it looks. But I have just never thought it looked great to have centered text with multiple paragraphs. Man, there's one other thing I was gonna say.
I cut you off.
No,
Sorry.
no, when you were talking about hierarchy and bolding stuff. Oh well, I can't remember it.
Bolding stuff, color, hierarchy, paragraphs.
Yes, I might have been that. I might have wanted to say that, and then you said
Okay.
it. Yeah, so that's definitely a small tweak here. Is it's nice when these cards are the same height. This one's slightly shorter than the rest. Not a huge deal, especially in this case because it's so close. But it just does look a little bit sloppier when they're not the same height. A lot of times in website builders, you don't really have control over this unless you want to do custom CSS. Not a lot of people know custom CSS. So it's understandable. We use Webflow. Way to go, website, use Webflow. All this kind of stuff is under your control in Webflow. It's really easy to modify and keep things equal. But other builders like Squarespace, WordPress, can be a little bit of a hassle to do. So if you can't do it, that's fine. It's just sort of a nice to have. The other thing. Oh, I remember what I was going to say about all this text. I was just going to remind people of the cost benefit analysis that people are going to go to when they see all this text. Like Chase was saying, you see this, you're just going to go buy it. Partly because it looks all jumbled and messy, but also it's like, that's a lot of text. I don't know anything I don't know what they're going to talk to me about really. I mean, unless I'm like really interested in their events, then maybe I'm going to look. But if I'm not, then it's just like, okay, forget it, because it's just like, I don't want to weed through all that to figure it out. I'm on this website for 20 seconds, 25 seconds, maybe a minute. I'm not going to spend my time reading 3 paragraphs. So,
We should. Yeah, I think we kind of skipped the problem section here.
yeah. So that now we're kind of getting into copy, which maybe we could start in the header then, if we're going to talk about
Yeah,
copy.
we should start in the header and just work our way down. So again, we're using Donald Miller's Building a Brand Story sort of framework for building a website homepage. And to link it again, like we link it in every video, that Joe wrote an article outlining all the steps of what is crucial to put on a homepage. So we are using that formula. And if you have any questions or what the hell are we talking about, go ahead and check out that article.
Yeah. So the header, as we were talking about earlier, what do you offer? How will it make people's lives better? Or what's like the ideal outcome that you want people to have? And then how do they get the offer? So typically what you'll see is, what do you offer? That's your heading. How will it make someone's life better? Or what's the ideal outcome? That's the subheading. How do I get it? That's the call to action. So here, we're not going to rewrite everything. We're just going to say, like, get it to a place where it works well enough. There's probably a lot of ways you could do this. The way they've chosen to do it isn't the worst way to do it. It's an Irish pub. That's what they offer. You could probably spruce that up a little bit. Talk a little bit more about why that's great or what the unique experience of an Irish pub is. They've also included Bellevue in the title, which is where they're located. Not a bad option for SEO, as we've talked about it with... I'm going to sneeze. Oh man, I almost sneezed. Okay. I was talking this whole time, and I was in my head, I'm like, I'm about to sneeze. But didn't happen.
Psych yourself out.
Yeah, I know. It's coming back now, though.
Oh, shoot.
All right, so anyway, Bellevue, that's where they're located. So that's good for SEO, because if people are typing in Bellevue Pub or Bellevue Irish Pub, good chance this is the one that's going to come up, especially if you put it in your H1 tag, because that's your most important tag. That's the tag that Google looks at to determine what your site is about. So they do a fine job of, like, what do they offer? Chase brought up a good point, though, about, like, describing what it's like, or, what do you get out of this? They could probably do a little bit better job about that.
Yeah, so we were thinking that the heading, the subheading that's above the Irish pub is probably good. It's probably good for Google, because they're like, oh, they're located in Bellevue. So if somebody searches Bellevue pub, likely the text in this title is going to be relevant to somebody looking for this place on Google. But maybe put a subheading below that's like eat, drink, eat, drink, and watch the game or something. Like describe the experience of what it's like going to this pub, because otherwise you just read it and it's like, immediate people who are going to this page are going to be hungry. I mean, they're going to a site's page to probably look at their menu or find information about when they're open. So just tell them, be like, you can eat, drink, and have fun here, or just give them a detail about that. Maybe that's special about your pub,
Yeah.
about why it's ideal over any other pub. Like position yourself separately from
Part
everywhere else.
part of the benefit of underlining those kind of key things that you offer that aren't necessarily the tangible, it's more so about the experience. Someone like myself, not 100% sure what an Irish pub is. Maybe Irish pubs are different than any other bar and they only serve alcohol and that's all they do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So if you just say eat, drink, and then also saying like watch the game or something, like, oh, they got TV screens in there. Great. I want to go watch the playoffs or Super Bowl or whatever it is, and you'll be able to do it just from those bullet points. So I think that's pretty much all they would have to do there, except for call to action. I think that's one of their biggest missteps on this website is the inconsistent call to action, and also not a very clear call to action. This one up in the header, as we talked about before, your header is your most important, popular piece of real estate on your website. That's what most people are going to see. It's the most viewed thing on your website. So you want people to understand what you do right from the get-go. Also, they only spend 15 seconds there before they leave, oftentimes. So be extra clear. So if you say in-house dining, does that mean I'm going to learn about in-house dining or what it is? I don't really know what you mean by in-house dining. It should, oftentimes what you'll see, and effective call to actions are often action oriented. So get a table, book a table, reserve your event, or something like that. It's about like some action that you're going to do. In-house dining, not necessarily an action. And when you click this, it's just a waste. This is where you can drive home the point. You can give direction to your site so people know what the point of your site is and how to use it. This does not really do anything. I mean, other than come and visit us. But if that's what you want, is that people just to walk in and that's all you offer, fine. If that's really all you do. And it could probably even be done in a better way than this. But they have a lot of other options, as we see. Reserve a table.
Yeah, if they really want people to reserve tables, they should make that the button at the top, like reserve a table. We're really busy. It would really help us if you reserved a table several days in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they also feature their phone number a lot, which is fine. Reserve a table or call, because some people are maybe not tech savvy. I think they use Open Table to reserve. If you'd rather call, that's fine. So that's just something that was lacking on this site is consistency in the call to action. You'll see here it's in-house dining. Here it's reserve a table. Here it's find out more. On other ones, it's check our menu. On here, it's join the wait list. Book online now. So they're using different call to actions everywhere. It's just like, it's like one of those street signs that you'll see like for parking, where it's like 5 different parking signs on top of each other, and they're like, no parking Saturday through Sunday, except before 7 a.m. And it's like all these signs. It's just confusing. Just tell me what to do. Just tell me the one thing you want me to do. Or maybe 2 things, but they're using, and like we've talked about in the past, like a lot of people are just doing this and they've never written words for websites. They don't know any kind of strategy or anything to do. So who can blame anybody? I assume the reason people do this, or why they chose to do this, is they feel that they need to use variety. Maybe they felt like it would be too repetitive or come off as redundant to use the same call to action for every button, but it doesn't. It just adds clarity to the experience using the website. It make it so obvious what to do. Make it so easy for people if you just repeat it everywhere.
And I think one thing to specify is that, how difficult much of this is that this website was designed by an agency, and we're not going to say what agency it is. That's not the point of this. Um, but there's little mistakes that are being made by an agency where this business probably paid a lot of money to get this site made. It looks very professional. It looks very well put together. There's probably, I mean, I wonder if they hired a photographer to get all these photos. Who knows? Maybe they had these photos. Maybe they didn't. We don't exactly know all the details behind this project, but like there's still things that could be improved despite them going to an agency to design something. So,
And I think
you know,
we often have an expectation for professionals that, oh, they must know what they're doing, and they'll figure it out, and they know how to put together a website. And clearly this place knows how to put together a good looking website. I mean, there's little qualms we have here and there about hierarchy and things like that, but by and large, this is a nice looking website. But I've kind of come out of that marketing agency experience, and 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 not to say the one that I worked for was this way, but a lot of marketing agencies are just like, they have a bunch of templates ready that look nice, and as soon as you come knocking on their door and you say like, yeah, we'll get a website up for you, they'll say it'll take like a few weeks. It probably really only takes them 2 days because they have the template ready and they just need to like load a bunch of images in. And they're not copywriters. They don't think about that stuff. They just make websites. So a lot of times these places will ask you to write everything. And then you're right back at square one where, sure, maybe ideally this agency would be able to guide you, but oftentimes they don't. And they just say, we need you to write something that fills in this spot because we have a spot in our template that needs to be filled in. So can you come up with some words that you'd like to say? And maybe they would go like, maybe you could say something about reserving a table. And that's really all they say. So it's just I'm always a little bit disappointed by that whenever I see like, oh, you charge a lot of money. Some of these places charge $20,000, $25,000 for a website. They don't know what they're doing other than they have a template that looks nice. So
if somebody's charging that amount of money and you're a customer, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't just assume that they know everything that they're doing, because anybody could set a price point for any amount of money. There's no limit to,
yeah,
the high ticket service that you're paying for does not mean that you're going to get good service, unfortunately.
yeah. I mean,
The web design industry is plagued with this. It's plagued with people getting ripped off, unfortunately.
yeah.
Joe and I want to be the sort of people that change that and not be representative of people that treat people like just
Just
take
get the
advantage
money.
of people. We don't want to.
I worked at an agency where we had in one instance we had a client. They were paying $20,000 for the website. I have a lot. When you work at an agency, you have a lot of projects going on, and people are swamped, and they don't have a lot of time to devote to a single project. This person was paying $20,000. I had 2 days to design the website. That's all the time I had to do it.
Yeah.
So you're not getting something worth $20,000. It's just that there's a lot of people working for them, and you have to be able to pay everybody. So you have to charge a certain amount. It doesn't mean you're getting any extra time devoted to it or any extra care or expertise. It's just you got to charge that much to live. So it's just something to be on the lookout for.
But then on the flip side, I think we have to mention, we're kind of on a bit of a rant here, but if you spend too little from someone to create a website, you're gonna get gypped. If you're gonna spend $300 on a website, that website is not gonna be any good.
No.
There's almost no possibility, unless this person is a website savant that has cracked the code with coming up with artistic portrayals to show the public. There's no way that somebody for only a few $100s is going to design a good website.
Yeah.
It just isn't possible.
If someone had figured that out, we'd all know about it by now.
Right.
Because they would just end the business.
You're either going to get a product that you're not fairly paying for, and you're ripping the designer off. They're working crazy hours to get this accomplished. They're basically an intern to you, or you're just going to get a terrible product. I mean, there's really only those two options.
Yeah, usually when you're in that, so when you're at the upper price range, if you're really skeptical of what the people are saying, you can probably find a place that's going to do great all the way around. Strategy, copywriting, development, design, everything's going to be great. Some places are just going to do well with the design and the development. And then when you go low, basically everything's messed up. Like it's probably going to be bad design, bad development, things are going to break, things are going to be buggy, hard to fix. They're going to ask you to do all the copy, you know. I was about to say you get what you pay for, but it's funny because on either end you can get screwed. So it's just a funny business where people hold on to knowledge, and they'll charge you for what you don't know. You know, a lot of people wouldn't think that if you paid $20,000 for a website, you're getting something that someone spent 2 days on. But because you don't know how to build a website or you don't really understand it, you just fork up the money, not really knowing what you're getting. So anyway, there's just a lot to be aware of.
It's just the nature of anything in tech. You're just taking advantage of people who don't understand code. They don't understand the architecture of websites. I mean, they could just say anything and you'd be guilty to not believe it. I think it's convincing because you don't know anything. You don't even know what to ask. You don't know what to do. And it's just sort of the downside of marketing. Everybody needs marketing, but it's just a rat race to get anything functioning and working.
Yeah.
It's just so hard.
Yeah, I mean in marketing and in business, I mean there's just so many people that if they present well, they could not really say anything specific, but they present well and people fall for it, unfortunately. So it's too bad because it's just not really helping anybody. Those places that do that just charge a lot and don't really give you much. Okay, so all right, that covers the rant section. Rant. That's the rant section, and this is the header section. And then the next thing, typically you would see here is the problem section. What they're doing here, what they could do here, but they're not quite doing. They're doing a little bit. Is you have the problem section, then you have the value section. Basically, problem section is where you outline. This is the way it could be if it wasn't going well. This is your experience if it wasn't great, because that's always possible. It's always possible to have a bad experience somewhere, or you can make the wrong choice and end up something you don't like. And then there's the value section, which is basically saying, here are the ways that we combat those problems and add additional value, so that you're getting more than just food. You're getting something like great atmosphere, you know. So. Or food and drinks, you're also getting great atmosphere. So this is typically what people will do is they'll combine, or oftentimes what people will do, not always, they'll combine the problem section with the value section. So here is basically where you would describe the opposite of these things. So they're saying delicious food, excellent drinks, great atmosphere. Up here, say like, you know, a lot of pubs you go to in Bellevue, they just got this greasy food, and they got watered down drinks, and you got a bunch of loud, obnoxious, drunk people that you're dealing with. But at Paddy Coyne's, you got delicious food, excellent drinks, great atmosphere. And I think what's important about calling out the negatives and showing the problems that you could have if you went someplace else is that it gives these descriptions more pop. Because anybody could just say this, like, it would just kind of fall flat. Delicious food, excellent drinks.
Everybody says to have delicious food.
Yeah.
Every single one. There's no restaurant that's like, our food kind of sucks.
Right.
Come here.
But
nobody says that.
But when you talk about the other places and that you can describe that food, that it's greasy or grimy, and then they have watered down drinks or cheap drinks that don't taste good, or you know, whatever it is, you show understanding. You show that you're not just saying these things. You understand what it's like when you don't have these things, or that most places don't offer these things. It sounds less like you're just talking out of, you know, pulling stuff out of thin air. You're talking from experience. You're talking from knowledge of this is how it typically is or could be, but here's how it is here. It really just enhances what you're saying. It's a great trick.
And you can. I'm sorry. You can have delicious food. You can have excellent drinks, But at least above, in that paragraph above, specify what makes you different and separate yourself. So this is what Joe kind of mentioned with showing a value section and showing a problem section. It wouldn't be as effective, but at least, above, make it clear that you're positioning yourself separate than all these other businesses. Why would
Yep.
somebody come here as opposed to going to some anywhere else?
Yep.
But again, like saying just delicious food, that could be more specific. If you're going to say delicious food, well, what delicious food are you serving?
Right.
What specifically is a popular food item that people love, and like what excellent drinks, what great atmosphere. Instead of just saying these or doing what Joe was saying and say the opposite, you could also just go into greater specifics about why those things are valuable.
Yep.
You got to sell it being valuable instead of just using just sort of generic phrasing like delicious food and great atmosphere,
Yeah.
you know.
They could definitely stand to do a little bit better. But even if they didn't change that, just contrasting it makes it stand out more.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could definitely improve this because it's just expected kind of stuff that a restaurant would say. But it's just important, and it's a great example of the way that words alone can enhance the value. It can enhance your value just by using words. You still offer the same food. You still offer the same drinks that you would whether you talked about them or not. It's the same thing. But you can use words to enhance the perceived value of it when you remind people that it's not always as good. Like, don't take this for granted. You could easily go to another place that's not as good. And then you can also use words like Chase says, not necessarily to contrast, although you should. You can also use it just on its own to enhance. Like, go into better detail. Don't use cliches. Use interesting words that pop that people will remember. Excellent drinks, delicious food. I mean, those are kind of expected words. So, great as an adjective. I mean, teachers in elementary school say maybe don't use great. Try to think of a different word. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to be too harsh on Paddy, but you could do a little bit better maybe. Okay, so that covers the header, the problem, the value. Next would be the proof. So you've said all these things, but have I seen here you actually did see the food. So they have a little bit. They don't actually have a proof section. Their proof is images, which isn't bad. They could probably stand to have a little bit more images. Here you can see the food. Hopefully you like corned beef. And then here you can see the bar. Guinness, that's good. Looks classy. Here you can see people are there. It's just like, it's giving you a glimpse. You could probably do a little bit more. So if you have more high quality photos, maybe include those. If you have a video of something, that's a nice video. Basically,
Yeah, a video of everybody toasting and having so much fun, or like a birthday or something there, a
yeah.
large group event that somebody schedules.
Yeah, if you have reviews, maybe if you're featured, you got a food review in some like local Bellevue paper or something like that, or some website that's local that does reviews. Feature those here. Anything you can show that's like, see, people love it here, and see what people are talking about it, and take a look at the food, and take a look at the drinks, and take a look at the atmosphere we're talking about. Incorporating as much of that as possible is just going to drive home the fact that people should believe you about this, and you should come and check it out. It looks really cool, doesn't it? So, anything else you want to mention about that, or should we go on?
Well, this section right here can be really effective. I actually had to ask Joe what he considers the section. It's just called the call to action section because it's specifically just adding another button describing just to make a reservation. It's maybe not the most necessary to have, but it shows like a good image. It shows a good background image of the store, or I'm sorry, the restaurant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, they do a fine job there, and I think that's probably the call to action to go with. Reserve a table. That's a great call to action. They should probably be using that everywhere. And then they seem to want people to call too, so maybe reserve a table, and then you could have another button next to it that's maybe a different color that says or call : phone number. And you can actually have those buttons hook up to be telephone buttons, so you click it. So if you're on your phone, if you press the button, it will actually start a call. Yep, that's fine. Events, we already talked about this. and hierarchy and calling these things out a little bit better. It'd be nice if they had better images, but if you don't, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's like a horse. I just realized it's like a horse derby.
Yeah, they don't really mention. I guess maybe that's what Irish Days at the races is.
Oh, that must be. They must just be serving there for a few days or whatever.
But still, it'd be nice, like we said before, maybe a little description
Yeah.
of what exactly
What
that is.
exactly is happening there?
Yeah.
Do you guys race horses, or does Paddy ride a horse in the event? I mean, what do you know? Who knows?
The news section. They're only 3 articles, so they don't have a news page. These are it. And if you click on one of these, for example, now 100% open. That's it. So they're restating their hours and the days they're open. And this is really the only important piece of information that this is adding. We are now open, 100% open. So I just feel like there's some of this stuff here where the interesting part is the title. You know? So like celebrating their 11th anniversary. We're now 100% open. These are probably things that you can just incorporate into your headings. Like you could just have a thin green banner here that just says we're now 100% open. And honestly, that would solve this whole thing too. We are now open for in-house and patio dining. Just put that at the top of your website. Put that way up here in a green banner. Just say we're now open 100% in-house and patio dining. And you can get rid of this.
And if you only have 3 blog articles, just not even make them blogs. Just make them 3 sections that just explain the events going on in the.
Yeah, I mean you could yeah. So I mean, like this could just be its own page. It doesn't necessarily have to be a blog, or you could just say 2022 is our 11th anniversary. You know, something like that. Although it appears that now they're probably on their 12th anniversary because they opened in 2009.
Oh, yeah.
And this says 10 years have passed, so they must have been reusing this.
Oh.
So I think probably
Most
just
likely.
this whatever information is here about the owners and opening could go on your about page. You know, and just leave it there. Don't have a blog post. And then if you want to feature that you've been around for 11 or 12 years, you can just pop that on your homepage somewhere. Maybe like say like why we've been Bellevue favorite for the last 12 years. They put that as your heading right here or something like that.
Right. Discover is so generic.
Yeah,
it doesn't really describe anything.
It's not really even just generic. It's like ambiguous. It's like I don't know.
Right.
I don't even know what they're trying to say.
I mean, that could be the title of any section on any website.
Yeah.
Discover. Well,
tradition and quality.
Might as well just not even be there. Tradition and quality would be a better title than Discover.
Yeah. No, there's definitely room for improvement. But we're just giving quick fixes, practical advice. But yeah, definitely word choice could be improved. One section that they don't have that I'm personally a big fan of, although I can understand why some people might find it, not needed or, kind of trivial in some cases, is the process section. This is basically say like, here's what you need to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. That's all you got to do business with us. Some people, like, especially in retail or at a restaurant or something like this, would probably go like, don't people understand that? Like, just reserve a table and just show up. Like, that people get it. But it doesn't hurt to communicate that, because it's just making sure that you're completely on the same page with people that are visiting your site. They know exactly what they're supposed to do, whether they think they know it or not. If it is simple, seeing it 1, 2, 3 confirms that it's simple. Again, it's just like, great, it's simple. And if it wasn't a simple process, it makes it feel simple by just having step 1, 2, 3. So I'm a big fan of the process section in any case. And I think, and you don't even have to go into that much detail. It could all be headings. It could be step 1, step 2, you don't even have to go into like extra detail. So something like step 1, reserve a table. Step 2, get a confirmation email. Step 3, show up 5 minutes early. Or maybe you could say something about like, in the meantime, check out our menu, and then link out to your menu.
Right.
So people can think about what they want before they get there. So I'm a big fan of the process, but some people don't like it. I'm okay with that. So the contact form. I don't think they don't. So there's one in terms of headings. Maybe this
Oh
is
yeah.
one other design problem.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the heading in this section is a smaller size than the rest of the sections, so there's sort of an inconsistency
Yeah,
issue.
and that's another design fundamental. Um, I mean that's like hierarchy, but it's also repetition a little bit maybe.
I mean, I'm looking at it. Maybe the reason they did it was because if you scroll down, they wanted. No, I guess not. I was thinking maybe they wanted all the text to the left in that section to be equal size as the stuff in the form. So if they made the where to find us as big as the section above, it wouldn't be as
Oh, I
equal of a
see.
size to the form
You mean
section.
equal
So maybe
height?
that's why they made it. Yeah, equal height.
So like this, try and make this equal height as this.
Right, exactly.
Um,
So maybe they
yeah,
just thought it looked better when they just made it a little bit smaller,
maybe it
which
almost
might be true.
it feels kind of like a mistake to me. I mean, just that subheading is
Yeah.
so big compared to it. I mean, they're practically the same font size. So
It actually seems like if you made that font the where to find us the same size as the other sections, that it would actually then be the equal size, like all the way down to the submit button, because it's not the same width. So maybe that's not even a reasonable excuse. Maybe it's just something. Maybe it's something they did on accident. The designer made it this way, and the developer just
yeah,
decided, oh, I gotta make this text smaller.
it feels accidental. Um, so as far as the contact form goes, something to keep in mind when you're talking about contact on your website, like a contact page or any place you have your contact. Yes, it's about how do people reach out to you, but it's also about how do you want people to reach out to you. Do you want them to fill out a contact form? Would you rather them call you or email you or just show up? Provide options if you're okay with multiple options, but it's also okay if it's just like these are the ways we want you to contact us, and this is the way we're prepared to take your requests or answer your questions. So when you have a contact form, so like stuff like this, address pretty self-explanatory. Show up, and we already told you our hours, or call us. That's kind of these are all just kind of default ways. When you have the contact form, what I like to do is say what the contact form is or what it's for. Like here, it doesn't say anything. Like located in the heart of Bellevue, street level location, easy access, nearby hotels, shopping at theaters, parking. Why should I fill out the contact form? Is that really the best way for me to? It feels not as direct. An email feels more direct, like you're talking to an actual person. Phone call is like you're talking to an actual person. Contact form is a little bit more removed. And maybe you're set up to take questions that way, and that's how you prefer to have people ask you questions. Tell them that. Say if you have a question, fill out a contact form. Otherwise, if you want to reserve a table, give us a call. Whatever it is, explain it to people, and so that they're clear which ways. Because now you've given them 4 options.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of like I don't know which one to do. So just
Yeah.
whichever way you're prepared to take it, and if you want to do multiple, explain what the advantages of each, or why someone should choose one over the other.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to have a contact form for a restaurant. You kind of just show up and get the service there,
Right.
other than just reserving and booking a table. But if you're gonna have a contact form, at least make it fun. Like at least make it interesting. Like what if they did like send us a photo, like email us a photo
Yeah.
of you at the restaurant, or maybe they have a giveaway, or maybe they have a fun event where you put your name in a drawing or something, and you sign up through the website.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not specifying why you're using the contact form like Joe was saying, it shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
It should just be centered text where to find us,
I feel like that.
and then just remove that.
I feel like there's a pressure maybe when you have a website to include a contact form, but if you
Yeah.
don't, a lot of people like maybe they're not very tech savvy, and they're like, how do I like when I get a notification to my email? With the client is like, so when I get a notification, how do I respond to it? Do I just hit reply, or do I have to like copy it and then like maybe they don't really understand what a contact form even is, but there's that pressure to have one. So if
Yeah, like what if an older person came to this site and they were trying to book a reservation, but instead they ended up sending a message
right,
like of like, oh, I want like 6, August 28th, it's 7 p.m. and they end up using this form. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
And also because there's no explanation to the form. Imagine you fill out this form and then you hit send. Do you know what's going to happen next? Like, probably, maybe, unless they have a message there, which I haven't filled out the form, so I don't know. But it's not obvious to me, like, what's going to happen once I fill this form? Am I going to hear back? When will I hear back? Did I just reserve a table? Did I just go, hey, my name is Joe, message, I'd like to reserve a table for 6:30? Did I just reserve it? Like, it's going to be way more confusing. So give people the option to contact you in a way that is clear and you're prepared to take their requests or answer their questions.
I mean, I apologize to continue to rant, but like, this is something that Joe and I noticed within like 10 minutes of looking at this website. But like somebody who's a professional developed this site and put this section there not really thinking about it, which just goes to show that they probably were using a template, or they probably made the customer, the business owner of this place, pay extra to put this form section on their site that just doesn't make any sense and they don't even need. So
Yep.
Again, it's worth asking questions. It's worth being annoying if you're going to pay this much for a website.
And to pile on to the rant, because why not?
Yeah.
I could totally see, like, when someone's trying to upsell you and give you more value as a web designer or a marketing agency or whatever, they might say, like, great value. All of our forms and all of our websites include modern, sleek, futuristic forms or something. They'll like oversell it and overhype it. And then there's like this pressure. They'll pressure you, like, oh, you got to have a form. Maybe you don't need a form. Maybe it's just not the solution for you. Everybody has different needs. Some people, they do business strictly over the phone and any button on their website, because that's what they're comfortable with and that's how they're used to doing business. That's how they're prepared to handle their business. Their call to action should be, give us a call. Like, it's a website, yeah, but we're set up to answer your calls. So give us a call. Every business and every person has a different method that works for them. So yeah, it does reek of a template. You're right, Chase.
Yeah. It's a good template though.
It looks nice.
It's a nice template.
Do we want to say something about the footer or?
Oh yeah, I had some notes for the footer. It says a large booking group. I think it'd probably be a little nice if they maybe specifies a number, maybe
Right.
like up to 40 people booking, 40 plus booking,
Right.
or 20 plus, or give a range or something, 20 to 40 booking or something like large.
Yeah, because
'Cause that doesn't really, I don't really know what that means, like
Right.
large booking size.
I might be ready to reserve a table for like 7 people, and then I scroll down and I see large group bookings. I'm like, oh no, am I a large group? Do I have to go through this set? So say 10 plus, 30 plus, whatever it is.
Can you book out half the restaurant? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
I guess you'll know after you call them, but anyway.
It could scare people. Don't give people a scare like that.
No, don't scare people, especially us with social anxiety.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think another thing that could be changed with the footer is maybe put the nav links that are at the top of the page at the bottom,
Yep.
because Joe's a little more adamant about this than I am. He does more website design than graphic design, but you don't want to add an endpoint. You don't want to add a dead end to a website. You want people to keep interacting and using your site, so it's useful and they continue to find and learn more information about your business.
The longer they stay on the site, the more likely they are going to click your main call to action. Unfortunately, on this website, we're not really entirely sure what their main call to action is, but the more they stay on the site, the better. So everybody's going to leave at some point, but don't just like give them, all right, you're done. See you later. Like, if you scroll down to the bottom, there should always be something to interact with something, whether it's a link, an email newsletter sign up, maybe a new call to action that's like, hey, did you hear about our special? Or, whatever. Like, put something there that's going to keep people on the site.
Yeah.
It's just
Otherwise, you scroll down to the bottom and it's kind of awkward. You're just like, ah, okay, and
all
then you
right.
just you
I
either
guess
leave or you scroll back up to try to find something else.
yeah. I guess that's
Because
it.
maybe you scrolled all the way down here and you didn't find what you were looking for.
Right.
You know, like we were complaining about in the events section where the individual events are kind of buried in this
Yeah.
body text, but now you don't know, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm gonna scroll back to the top and look again, or
Yeah.
if you made it more clear, just putting those links at the bottom so that you could redirect to someone, you know,
Yeah. Like
to
if they came on
wherever
here
they need
looking
to
for
go.
information on the events and they saw this thing and they're like, I don't really know, and then they just kept going and then they saw the events page linked here. Maybe they clicked that and then they're like, oh,
Right.
okay. And then if you actually go to the events page, you'll see that they do a little bit better job like highlighting these things with hierarchy and calling out dates and stuff like that. So just little things like that. I mean, I don't know what percentage of people that is really going to end up applying to in terms of people that visit your site, but it's going to apply to some people, and it doesn't hurt to do it. It's only going to help you. So, yeah, I think that's what we'd say about the footer, and then also the map here.
Oh, right.
This is an image, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's clearly like a Google Map screenshot, and then they put this graphic PNG marker over the top of it to kind of show the location. But
Yeah, if you're gonna put an image, it might as well image of Google Maps. It might as well just be Google Maps. It might as well be the fun,
right,
interactive, you know, map you can sort of scroll around and see like, oh, it's by this street, or this is how far it is from where I live. You can just quickly see that.
right, you can see things
And
like you can have the satellite view, which might give you more information about it specifically. Oh, it's by that
right.
thing. You know, you can tell from the satellite. Or when you have a Google Maps embed, there's a little get directions link, usually in the top left. And it just adds functionality and makes the experience a little bit easier. So like if I scroll down to this and I saw that, I'm like, okay, I really would actually like directions to it. Then I have to scroll around and find, okay, here it is. And then I have to copy that, go to Google Maps, type it in, hit enter, hit directions. It'd be better if there's just a maps embed and I hit get directions. So
Right.
just a small, and it's free to do that. Google Maps embeds, free to embed. You can grab them. Just go to maps.google.com and type in the address, and then there should be a share button. Okay.
Yeah, and I think this section isn't always. It's not really that necessary to have it on a site. You can add it, but like it doesn't add that much to the site. Like you just putting this here, it's not really gonna like. Someone's not gonna always remember like where this place is. They're likely gonna have to use their phone anyway to find the place anyway.
I think this would be useful to someone who like is used to using like maps, like physical maps,
Right.
which is becoming less and less people now.
A very small percentage of the population now.
So what you're doing here is really that you're taking the place of a get directions button with this map. A get directions button probably going to be way more useful and used a lot more, and it's way more automatic, less work. Just hit get directions, take you right to Google Maps, start the route, you're done. So
I see they have a, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, they have a green button to the right. Is that a back to top button?
yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. You know I love a back to top
See?
button, Joe.
That's the kind of futuristic technology you get when you go with a web design agency.
But you don't need a back to top button if you have good navigation in the footer.
This website was designed and built by Oh no, I clicked it.
Oh! Nobody saw that.
Okay, hopefully
Nobody
no one
saw
saw that.
No, you can't go back. You can't rewind.
Yeah, web design agency.
We didn't know it was a link. We didn't know.
I didn't
We're
know.
not
I was
trying
trying
to
to highlight it. Listen, I don't want to dox anybody. That's a term that I heard. That's what kids say now. Doxing.
But it is funny that docs.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common lingo now.
Yeah.
But it is funny that with the link that you just clicked, they didn't even put the name of their agency. It just says designed and built by Web Design Agency.
Yeah.
It's common that agencies, when they build sites for clients, they'll put the name of their agency at the bottom of the site, just basically as free advertising for future clients who look at their client, portfolio and they're like, oh, who built this site? And then they go and, they have free traffic to their own site. But they didn't specify that it was even them. We didn't even know that was a link. We accidentally clicked it. So
For further evidence of a template, they just have that. And this
Right.
makes me think that it's a template they didn't even create, that they bought for
Right.
it. It's just a template that someone else made for an agency and they bought it and used it. So
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to fill in your own name there. I would like to say quickly though, because I've been so down on templates and all this stuff. Way to Go website actually does offer a templated solution, but it's a little bit different. It's not $20,000; it's $750. So it's priced accordingly, and it's made specifically for one type of website, which is a podcast website, not for any website. And
And the site is strictly functional. It's not about
right.
doing all these crazy custom designs everywhere. It's about strictly functional for somebody who has a podcast.
Yeah, putting up episodes, sharing episodes, things like that. It's basic and priced accordingly. So I just wanted to
And
be
we're willing,
clear about that.
yeah, we're willing to admit that it is a template.
It is a template, yeah.
But this site likely was sold to a client not as a template.
Right.
If I have to guess, it was probably like, we'll design you a custom site.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a site that has all these little features about it, like a contact form and stuff. That was clearly from a template.
Also, the other thing about the templates that we do, so specifically for podcast templates, they're not going to take weeks to do, which oftentimes places like this take weeks. This template takes less than a week, depending on exactly how much. Like, it's a podcast template, so part of what we offer is transitioning you. If you have an existing site with all of your episodes, part of what we offer is transitioning those episodes for you over to the website. So that would make things take a little bit longer. But other than that, it's like a 2-day job. So you're paying for fast, we're completely honest, transparent, and the price is low. So, all right. So that's it for the homepage. Do we have what else? Oh, we want to talk about the menu, maybe.
Yeah, the menu appears to be an embed from some other tool or program where they can easily update items, and then it refreshes on their homepage. But sort of the downside to this is that it doesn't integrate or look very great on the website. It'd be better if it was just sort of plain text, maybe centered on the page, that uses the same styling that is across this site. It just doesn't add very much when it's sort of in this like sort of obnoxious green color border. It doesn't really need to be there. It can be a lot more simple.
Yes, they'd be going a long way just to get rid of the green. I mean, the green really stands out as like, it's hard to it's right. Bad contrast too, because this says Dioshana. And then down here they have black text on green, so it doesn't really contrast well. And also, it doesn't match the feeling of the site. The site has a much more simple feeling to it, and it looks great. But this green is really loud and super boxy. It does not fit. I'm guessing this is an open table embed, since that seems to be what they use for everything. But yeah, just get rid of that green background, have a transparent background. That would be a big help. Here you can see again hierarchy issues. So much information that's all given equal footing. So you could like make a reservation online for Paddy Coyne's Bellevue open table. Just say book online or reserve a table. That's all you need. Just have a button for that, and then have another thing that says or call. All day accessible dining in the heart of Bellevue. Just say your hours and the days you're open, and then here's your address. So just say book online, give us a call. Here's our address. Here's when we're open. We found it funny to say walk-ins welcome. I mean, that's typically what you'll see for like a hair salon or a barber or something. For a pub, doesn't everybody just walk into a pub? Isn't that how it works? So
that's the point. It's casual.
Yeah. And then if you feel that you need to express this, that's fine. But just put it below everything. Make sure there's hierarchy and that you're calling stuff out that's important. This is an asterisk. This isn't so important. This is just like, hey, you're going to get charged an extra 3%, which you don't even necessarily need to say. I mean, a lot of people just assume there's going to be fees like that. But if you have to have it, put it below the book online now button. Put it below all this stuff. Because it should not be considered equal to their phone number or this button or their address. So things like that.
It's the same problem that we mentioned in the reservation section. that we mentioned that we
I mean
talked
the
about
event. You mean
earlier.
the event section?
Yes,
Yeah,
the event section. I apologize.
that's fine. Um, contact page is basically the exact same as the other homepage. It's just kind of copied and pasted over. Love these headings. Like, these are cool images. There's
Yeah,
the image of the front of the store. That's not a bad heading either, because like people are going to be driving by in their Uber or driving by and they're like, oh, there it is, there it is. Like, it makes it like, I saw it on the website. That's what it looks like.
right.
You know, it's not a bad thing to feature more prominently. Events we touched on earlier when we looked at that. They do a better job of like calling these things out. Put dates on them. I mean, everybody kind of knows when St. Patrick's Day, or at least a lot of people do. Not everybody. Put a date. If you put a date here, why not put a date here? Here they have these new T-shirts. See details here is just, it goes to an image.
Yeah.
And there's no like order or something. So maybe it'd be nice, instead of just saying see details here, maybe say
Just put
like,
those details there. Yeah.
yeah, just say like, come into our store and buy them. They're not available online, or something like that. Also, I wouldn't say this is an event. This is more of an announcement than an event.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so there's little things here. I mean, by and large, it's fine. Like, who cares? But it's definitely little improvements that could be made just to keep things a little bit more consistent and tidy. Waitlist. This is where you have to go to find waitlist, it sounds like something like when you buy a Tesla, you get on a waitlist or something. So it sounds like this big thing to me. I don't know if waitlist should be the term, but I guess in restaurants it makes sense. This is basically like, we're full right now. Join our waitlist, and we'll call you when there's a table ready. Maybe that should be featured more prominently. Maybe next to book a reservation, and I can understand. I mean, what I was thinking was, people might be confused. Like, what's the difference? Book a reservation, or book a table and join the wait list. Shouldn't that be like it's so similar that people might think it's the same thing? It might be confusing. So maybe you could change the language a little bit, like schedule a reservation, or join the wait list, or join today's wait list, and then that way you can kind of distinguish it more as like, this is in the future for reservations and this is today, right now. So and they have their hours, location, a lot of repetitive information, stuff that they could have put on their contact form, their about page, or their home page.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, but overall, despite how long we've been talking, almost an hour it seems.
Just over an hour.
Wow,
And 2
every
minutes.
episode is just over an hour. That's so funny.
We're like clockwork.
We are consistent.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, despite talking for an hour about, all these little changes that could be made to the site, overall, it's a great site. This site is far better than the overwhelming majority of most sites on the internet.
It's funny. What was the first website we did? Julia Chocolate?
Yeah.
I would say that this is a far superior website to that one, and yet we talked about it for the same amount of time. It's very odd. It's very odd. Yeah, great website. I love the way it looks. Love the color. Love the font. Just really cool. Well done. Great images.
We ranted a little bit more about industry in this one.
I think that's what added.
I think that added maybe another 15, 20 minutes. So.
If that was 20 minutes, man, it felt like 5 seconds.
It did. We can talk about that forever.
I have more rant in me if we ever need it.
Yeah, maybe we'll cut it up and put it in its own separate video.
If we ever start running like 20 minutes short on one of these videos, then we just need to stretch with some rant.
We'll just talk about agencies. Yeah.
We'll just throw that in there. Okay, so hey, we did it. We did another one of these. I feel like I need to start doing more like clickbait titles, like web and graphic designer eviscerate Irish pub website or something like that.
Yeah,
that's gonna happen at some point, because
Irish pubs suck, and then like a emoji of a down.
But I don't know if our loyal viewers noticed, Chase, but we went from 70 views all the way down to 9. We're really falling. It's a fall from grace.
I know. It's we are falling.
We have to do something to get those numbers up. So, no. Okay.
We'll have to think of something.
All right, I guess we're done, right?
Yeah, I think we're done.
So if you're in the Bellevue area, Bellevue, Washington, go ahead and pay a visit to Paddy Coyne's for an authentic, local, and traditional Irish pub experience. And after you do that, after you get nice and liquored up, maybe then you'd be willing to go to waytogowebsite.com and check out
Yeah,
our offerings. Okay.
because God forbid you go there sober.
Yes. No. Yeah. Yeah. No. All of our prices and offerings and services look much better drunk. Let me tell you. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Okay. Good. Done.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
good.
See you, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.